Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the Philadelphia Flyers, their late season collapse, and just getting into that. So before we do that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So last night the Philadelphia Flyers got a nice whooping as they lost 9-3 to the Montreal Canadiens, and it just goes to show where this team is at. Now, talking before all that, we saw a Flyers team that for a good chunk of the year was able to exceed expectations if they're not making the playoffs 2 seasons in a row, and I thought they'd be bad. We've kind of talked about that in some videos in recent coverage of the team, but they were able to really be the surprise team of the year, and going into about 2 weeks ago, it looked like they were pretty much a playoff lock. But this team hasn't been playing good hockey for a minute, highlighted by that very, very bad loss yesterday to Montreal. It's over their past 25 games, they've gone 7-13-5, and have the third worst points percentage in that time, just ahead of the San Jose Sharks and Anaheim Ducks, two teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention a long time ago. Philadelphia just not playing good hockey, and they are on an 8-game losing streak. Over the 25 games, mind you, they have 8 losses by 3 or more goals. 2 really embarrassing losses. The 7-0 Tampa Bay loss where they get shut out, and then of course last night's loss to the Habs 9-3. You give up the touchdown and the field goal there because again, a PAT is worth 1, a touchdown itself is worth 6, so 9 goals, touchdown, and a field goal. And this just kind of cements what's happened here over this run as the Flyers, over their 8 games too, where they've only picked up 2 points in this period, have been really, really bad. They played the Montreal Canadiens twice. They played the Chicago Blackhawks and the Columbus Blue Jackets over this 8-game skid. They got beat in all those games and lost by a combined score of 19-7. Now, I know, like I did a video over the Hawks yesterday, they're one of the teams I talked about yesterday. They've been relatively good as of late, winning 8 of 15. And the Jackets, of course, they've had kind of a tumultuous season. Montreal, I think a lot of people are like, oh man, they've got really good pieces. But still, if you are a team that is on the brink of making the playoffs and you have these bottom feeder teams, if you want to call them that, you have to be able to take care of business. Instead, they're getting whooped by these teams and just saw their playoff odds just eradicated during this run. Their playoff percentage sits at 7.5% according to MoneyPuck.com, and I know there's 3 games left to play. Flyers fans, and I am well aware of the fact, it's over. The season is done. I'm not even a Flyers fan. I don't know why I'm getting so worked up. I think it's just because it's so unbelievable. And part of the reason I really do think that I'm so frustrated by this team is, if you're going to make me look bad, that's fine. But if you're going to play how I thought you were going to play, do it at the start of the year, because this team was pretty much a playoff lock until this 8-game period where they just kind of threw away their season. And I had a huge debate with my buddy from work today about the team, and he said, well, they were meant to be bad, and they missing the playoffs is just okay because that's just how it is, and it's all right because they are destined, I guess if you will, in some sense, to be what we are expecting them to be. But I disagree, because imagine it like this, and I try to explain it like this, and I think we just have a difference of opinion, and that's fine. You have a student, let's call him Timmy. Timmy is not expected to be a great student this year. You're not really sure if he's going to pass, in this case, make the playoffs or whatever. You have low expectations for Timmy as a teacher. And let's say you go a period into mid-January, kind of like where they were just behind the Rangers, Philadelphia, where you're like, holy cow, is Timmy secretly a genius? Is Timmy secretly going to be one of the better students of this grade? Is he going to be a guaranteed pass? Go into April and you say, Timmy, you are pretty much guaranteed to be able to graduate or pass this year and move on to the next period. And Timmy is like, yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I think we're in a really good spot and we're going to be able to move on to the next grade. You say, also, Timmy, you're pretty much there. You're going to make it. You have a really good grade, but you have some tests that you got to be able to take here that are relatively easy. And as long as you do all right in them, you're going to be able to advance. They just see Timmy here and the teacher looking at him bomb 8 tests in a row and get like 0% on him. Let's say 25%, something like that over this run. And you go, Timmy, are you even trying? Like, what are you doing over this run? You're pretty much guaranteed to make it. How do you mess up at this period? The Flyers, in this case, go from being third in the Metro to being knocked out of the top 3 in the division, to being knocked out of the wild card spot, to being multiple teams behind in the wild card push with other teams above them. And I think I get why their fans are so frustrated, because a lot of people online are saying if we were going to be bad, like we had been, relatively bad in the past 2 seasons, where we get these, top 10 picks, that is fine, because the goal is to retool, rebuild, whatever you want to say, and that's where you want to take things. But of course, they end up putting themselves in a situation where they are going to be middle of the pack for draft picks, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they just could have had it. They could have had it, and instead they go from being in a playoff spot for almost the entirety of the season to just barely missing out by the end of the year. Tough way to go and tough way to end things. And again, when you play these bad teams, you have to be able to take advantage of the opportunities. Yes, they've had some things go wrong, absolutely, but you're there. I mean, the playoff odds were just so much in their favor of at least getting in the first round. Would they have probably been a first round exit? Probably. But I actually thought they were going to make it, and instead they are limping into the end of the season with their fan base probably being about as mad as you could be, because you're saying we're not making the playoffs, we're not getting a high-end pick. What was this all for? I don't know. I don't exactly know what Torts was like after the game last night. I'm sure he was just going off while they were all by themselves. But yeah, just Philadelphia, how in the world did we get here? I don't really know. We'll probably talk about it in an off-season video, because the Flyers, while they aren't eliminated, they're eliminated in my eyes. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Philadelphia? Flyers fans, leave your thoughts down below. Please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.